Dr. Mitnaul, I want my child to be more confident. What am I not doing right? Welcome to the Dr. Mitnaul Show, where we talk about the hardest job there is, raising virtuous, healthy, and family-connected kids in the age of screens. I'm Dr. Larry Mitnaul, double board-certified child and adolescent psychiatrist by day and father of 7. So I do this. Let's get into what matters most to you. So today we'll talk about Doechii, the Swamp Princess, and her new song, Anxiety, answering your question of the day that you submitted. Thank you for that. And also talking about a family hack that involves Wikipedia. That's right. And before we get to Doechii and Anxiety, there's one thing that helps me relax. And that's comfortable clothing, which is why I love our sponsor, Be Well Collective Apparel. Parenting is stressful enough, and so when I'm not at the office, I like to relax in clothing like this that offers the fit I love and the reminder to breathe. Learn more by checking out the link in the description. Now back to me. So who is Doechii? Parents, you don't know who she is, but your teens definitely do, so she probably doesn't need an introduction to them. But born in Tampa, Florida, is an American rapper, singer, songwriter who has a really interesting style and is really eclectic, actually. So, and she went viral on TikTok, which actually led to her being signed to a record label. The big things about her this year is that she's already won the Billboard Woman of the Year for 2025, and she even won a Grammy. So again, your kids already know who she is. So her song, Anxiety, was recently released, and it's taken on a life of its own on TikTok. Why? Well, the heading tells the story. Anxiety is really what the song is all about. Now, parents, again, I'm going to give you a warning and a disclaimer. I'm not recommending that this is the jam that you're pumping in the house or turning on your drive necessarily with your teens, and especially not with your kids, because there is some language. But here's the thrust of it, and I think part of what's making this viral moment. Part of it is she's really talking about anxiety. And so what do we mean by anxiety? So as a child and adolescent psychiatrist, I often describe we all are built with the ability to experience worry, and worry is important to us. But when that worry takes over our lives and starts to shrink our world, that we're worried about things outside and it functionally impairs our day, our school, and the relationships that we build, that's when anxiety takes on a life of its own that often kind of requires some help. And so the type of anxiety that she's talking about are actually both kinds. So to a teen who's maybe just listening to the song, they might be confused at the difference between having a psychiatric diagnosis and just the worries of the world, but she gives kind of the breadth of them. And I think the thing that can be helpful is this is helping people to at least talk about and share some of their anxiety-inducing moments, or just let off some steam while sharing their viral videos. And so in the lyrics, she talks about there's a tightness in my chest like an elephant is standing on it. Okay, that is something that would be closer to meeting the criteria for the diagnostic disorder. But there are also some choices that she's made in life that clearly are anxiety inducing, but certainly aren't worthy of necessarily a psychiatric diagnosis, other than maybe trying to better understand where some of these poor choices are coming from. And so where is the tie-in? Well, one is knowing Doechii and bringing her up at the dinner table is certainly going to make them pass out if they don't look at you and wonder if someone has swapped them out for a different parent. But the other is they likely will recognize the song, and that too can be a springboard to talking about worry. And sometimes as parents, we worry. We worry that bringing up themes like anxiety will cause them to feel it, right? Or that we're causing some undue stress. But actually, we're made better by being able to talk about the things that we keep hidden. And anxiety is one of those things that kids, teens, and even us adults can carry inside and not really let out. And often avoidance leads to more anxiety rather than bringing peace. So what's your homework? Your homework is, if you hear the song, if you're familiar with the beat, because it really is kind of catchy, or if there's an opportunity to talk about the viral trend, you can bring it up and then ask your child. That can be a springboard for you to think about, hey, is anxiety playing a role in your life? Just get curious. Or ask them if friends are sharing about some of their worries and anxieties around life too. You are the most important relationship in their life, and so we don't want any subject, especially anxiety, being off topic. And now to a really important part of the show, which is your questions and challenging parenting moments. So this one just says, Dr. Mitnaul, I want my child to be more confident. What am I not doing right? All right, so here's some of the things that are really important to know and some take-home messages around confidence. So confidence, as you know, isn't its own diagnostic criteria, but Confidence is something that our kids wear, and we know it when we see it. And often that comes from accomplishing a task or doing hard things. Now, that doesn't mean, a child that is fully confident never has doubts or never has worries or anxieties like we were talking about before. But we do want our kids feeling capable and able to take on the day. So what can we do for kids who seem shy and like they're shrinking away from a challenge rather than leaning into something that would otherwise be healthy or good for them to do? One is getting in the habit of learning how to praise the process, right? There are so many times when it's easy, even for us in our own lives, to say, hey, great job because you have this award. But we know that even as adults, a lot of the great things or good works that we do are actually hidden from public view and from the public eye. And so we want kids to know, hey, I'm proud of you for the hard work that you put into that project. Yes, but I got a C+, but I saw the hard work that went into it. You did not, cheat the process of really trying to find every detail on that project. And I absolutely love the work that you put into it, right? And is that lying? It's not lying. You actually are highlighting that actually the work and the effort are more important than the prize that you get on the other side. But let's create achievable goals for kids and celebrate their progress along the way. The other is we want to look for opportunities for independence for kids too. And that includes chores and things that they can do around the house. We really underestimate the power of how it feels to be a meaningful member of the family system. And so often we think we're rescuing our kids from good things that they can be doing, like unloading the dishes or folding the laundry or helping with chores around the house. But actually you are empowering them. And so that can be maybe one of the ingredients that they're missing in being their most confident selves. So we can't cover everything, but hopefully those three things actually help you to be encouraged. If there's one that you need to hear more about, let me know in the comments below. I'm always happy to talk about the research, the evidence, what we know about the brain and the body, or trying to expand a little bit more on this topic if that's what's on your mind. And as always, if you have a question, don't be shy. Go down to the description box, follow the link to leave a voice message, and you might even be heard on the show. Guys, if you follow me, you know it's really important that we safeguard the things that our kids can get into. And sometimes we're naive in thinking that, there are certain places where kids can go and we can assume that they're safe, right? Because maybe they're labeled for kids or they're things that we're really familiar with. Wikipedia is one such place. And so if you don't already know, so there are actually some articles about this as well, but kids can search certain terms that actually refer to natural body processes and actually be assaulted by pornography. Now, you might be surprised to hear that. How is that possible on Wikipedia in such a public platform? But guys, that is the reality of our world. And so even recently, I hear from parents whose children have encountered things that they really didn't want them to see. And who knows, maybe the content of the article might have been factual, but what it lacks is perspective, right? We know that the internet is not tiered towards, hey, there's a 5-year-old searching, so let me give 5-year-old answers, or there's a 16-year-old searching, let me give 16-year-old, kind of age-appropriate answers. People can post and update. There may be very few gates ensuring that certain content actually has a verifiable source, or that our kids aren't being assaulted by, what they see or what they hear when they find things online. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that there are safeguards online that are going to prevent our kids from getting into things that they otherwise shouldn't see. I think we should always have an index of suspicion that if our kids are online, they are at some point or have at some point encountered some really dangerous or dark material that maybe they're not ready for or maybe isn't appropriate to them. And so we need to be proactive about having safeguards. So speaking of parent controls and safeguards, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Bark. As you know, it really is near and dear to my heart that our kids are safely and securely monitored online, and there are apps and protocols and websites being developed every day. And so it's impossible for any one parent to keep up with all of those things, which is why I only trust one company really with a device that my children can use and have the security of mind that they are being safeguarded against some of those assaults that they may encounter online. So if you haven't already, check out their website, and please don't leave your child exposed. There's a discount code in the notes. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, guys, so here's your challenge for the week. And this one actually might sound a little bit daunting, but I'm saying this for your own good and because you need to get it done, which is I need you to find every device in your house and make a list of what you have. You'll be surprised, guys, that, everything from the old device that you thought you'd thrown away and cleared out to, an old iPad that had a fractured screen and no one thought worked can actually be accessing the internet. And often, if we haven't paid particular attention to keep up with those devices or to make sure that they're properly disposed, they may actually have a life outside of your bedroom or wherever you had those devices locked. So that's your homework for the week, is to make an inventory of what you have, and don't be surprised if there are some things missing. Again, encounter with grace, ask and be curious with your kids, but also make sure that we're being vigilant at the gate. So what did we learn today, class? So today we tackled Doechii's new song about anxiety and maybe a way that we might be able to connect that message to important conversations we should be having about the worries that our kids may be facing day to day. We also talked about kind of confidence and how we build that up through meaningful activities with our kids. And then also that Wikipedia may not be your friend, and the need for us to be ever vigilant around the things that we take for granted. So remember, there's no connection like your connection. Don't forget to like, share, and follow us, along with sending us your questions so I can address them here on the show. Super shout out to my favorite DJ, my eldest son, who gave us the music for the show. And as always, my friends, be well.